Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by Scott McKinley. Coach, hey, it's been a 2-0 season. That's one thing that you can say about this year, and that's really the only thing that matters. Say it all the time. Talked to Kai Staley last night, and hey, just got to win every game, don't you?
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, a win is a win. There's plenty of things to pick apart from that last win, but hey, at the same time, I'd rather be picking apart a win than picking apart a loss. So got to take the positives.
Absolutely. So where are you at right now? Of course, the first two games, I thought Oklahoma State looked very good against South Dakota State. I think they're quite a bit less impressive than what we were expecting from them. Arkansas, I think, was better and more unpredictable. Bobby Petrino, by the way, is maybe the best play caller in all the United States of America. He's fantastic. So Saturday was a tough game, but where is your state of the union for OSU right now?
I'm one. I usually don't overreact to a lot of things, and I'm not going to overreact for what we saw last Saturday too, because there were a lot of unknowns of what Arkansas was going to do, just from a scheme standpoint, play calling standpoint. We had some busts in defense, which we'll get into, which we talked about that before the South Dakota State game. That was an issue with this defense last year. So that one, I'd say if I have a cause for concern, that's the only one that I've seen. It's because we've done that habitually now, for a number of games. But I mean, as far as the offensive production, I think there's some things that they'll get together there. But at the end of the day, you know what? We found a way to come out with a win. I mean, and that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. Yeah, when you look at the stat sheet, you would say there's no way that we're going to win this thing, but somehow we pulled it out. I mean, we got a victory. It's
kind of like Coach Gundy always says. Hey, I've said this on my show earlier. I've tweeted this out. I never was like a real big believer in the culture thing, because I think I thought that kind of explains some other parts of the program, but there's no other way to explain Saturday other than the kids stayed calm, the coaches stayed calm, nobody panicked. That allowed Oklahoma State to think when they were under pressure, make the right decisions under pressure when Arkansas was making mistakes when it mattered the most. That's one culture of winning versus one culture that's not used to winning.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes one of the things I've always said about football is in any competitive football game at a certain point, okay, we can talk schematics, we can talk, play calling, we can talk all that stuff. Guys, I need a yard or I need a stop here. I mean, it comes down to that. And frankly, OSU, it came down to we needed a stop. We got to stop. I mean, that's literally what the game comes down to. And OSU at least was on the right side of things this weekend. So absolutely.
So hey, let's go through all the different positions, all the coaching, and let's kind of assess the way that you saw things, the type of grades that you think that you would probably give this team. So let's start on the offensive side of the football. Offensive line has not given up a sack this year, but Ollie Gordon has not really gotten going. And then your second leading rusher, both games, has been your quarterback. That's not a running quarterback. So give the offensive line a grade.
I'd probably give them probably a C, maybe possibly a C minus. Again, I mean, good enough to win the ball game. We scored when we needed to. We turned it on in the second half a little bit. We started to get some things going. But at the same time, frankly, just my expectation of this offense is higher. I expect a better offensive production moving forward than what we saw against Arkansas. We had a couple of crucial penalties. Obviously the one with Alan Bowman, I think, is pretty obvious.
Dumb.
yeah. It's and at the same time, it's one of those deals where, man, you're caught up. You've been struggling all day, sure. And man, we just made a huge play. That was a phenomenal play. A great throw that he threw to Presley right there. But okay, we got to be smarter than that. But no, but at the same time, I say C minus. I think that we will see better moving forward, because that's one thing that we always see with Mike Gundy coach teams is they will get better as the season goes forward. But yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, we got to find ways to get Ollie Gordon to have more yards. I mean, and I realize Arkansas was playing for him. There's a number of things they were doing schematically that I felt like, okay, they're going to limit Gordon, which is what I think most teams are going to do to us this year. They're going to don't let Ollie beat you, make Bowman beat you. That's what I think a lot of teams are going to do. So
Oklahoma State had 59 yards rushing on the day. Running backs, I think they did. I mean, Gordon had the score in the second overtime, which was good.
frankly, it's hard to grade the running backs too harshly because, well, there just weren't running lanes to go through. I'd probably give them, I'd say a good solid C. There's still some things that could be done better, but at the same time, you got to have holes to run through if you're gonna make any damage out back there.
Alan Bowman, 27 for 48, 1 interception, 326 yards. I thought he was inconsistent at the beginning. I thought he was money at clutch time. He also had the 1 big penalty, so it was a mixed bag for him. Give a grade to your quarterback, Alan Bowman.
I'd say a C+, just because of again, good enough to pull it out. And the other thing is we talk about that. It kind of goes back to that, what you're talking about with culture. You expect a quarterback. It isn't just about making good throws. It's also about leadership and, him being, a 7th year. Yeah. Him being a 7th year guy, he was able to steady the ship, if you will, when we really needed it. So I got to give bonus for that, but no, he did not have his best day. But again, good enough to win.
Absolutely. Receivers, I thought the receivers had some balls that weren't perfectly thrown, but they still could have caught, especially on some deep balls, but they did make some big catches. Brennan Presley was absolutely big time. So give your grade to the receivers. Mixed bag, I think.
Yeah, mixed bag. I give the receivers a little bit higher grade. I think I give them probably a B. Obviously that, it wasn't lights out, but they did have some really big catches, crucial time. So, yeah, no, I thought the receivers played really well. But I tell you, Brennan Presley, I got to tell you, he's been one of my favorite players to watch over his career. He's just, at any time you get the ball in his hands and you get him in space, man, you could have a lightning strike.
1,000%, no doubt about that. And then you got to go, you can't forget about the Cowboy backs. I mean, you're talking about Josh Ford, who had the big catch. Jake Schultz had the reverse pass that was an absolutely huge play. And so we saw some production in the passing game with the H-backs. I'll go ahead and say it before I turn it over to you. I don't know about all the blocking. I didn't analyze it quite as much this week, but as far as the H-backs, I'm giving them an A for the big catches that they caught.
That was going to be my deal as well, because I think if nothing else, it was a nice surprise. I think even Coach Gundy mentioned that in his post game press conference, that we don't. There's a lot of people that complain that we don't use the Cowboy backs or hybrid tight end position as much as we should, and we did that this week. Whether it was the flea flicker or it was like Josh Ford. The thing I remember, I saw Josh Ford in high school. Mm-hmm. In fact, I actually saw that kid in junior high, and you can just tell the kid is
he's different.
He's a specimen of a guy, and he's a smart football player too. So no, I'd give the Cowboybacks an A. I think that my hope is that we're going to continue that trend and continue to use them, because particularly if you have defenses that are keying on Gordon, obviously from a defensive secondary standpoint, Brennan Presley is going to be the focus, but then we've also got Rashad Owens, Stribling, so we've got some weapons out on the edge. I think that's the thing to me. What I think with what I see with this OSU team moving forward is we've got dangerous players in all places. It's just a question of which one is the defense going to try to take away. Okay, well, if they're going to take away this one, let's go hit the other one. I really think that's what it is. It's a good problem to have when you think about it.
Absolutely. So let's move to the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to start with linebackers. Nick Martin, I thought he was just incredible. Sideline to sideline. I believe it was 17 tackles. And I know Coach Gundy mentioned that they have some kind of tracking system as far as the exertion of energy that each player uses. And Nick Martin, I can't remember the name that he called it, but Nick Martin had like the highest score of any other player ever at OSU from Saturday's game. And he equated it to a guy or somebody who doesn't work out running a marathon as far as what Nick Martin did on Saturday. And then Kendall Daniels had some really big plays throughout the game. I know Arkansas gashed OSU in the rushing game a lot of times Saturday, but then he had the big play at the end. So I personally, just because of the way they finished, the way that Nick Martin played, the difficulty level of stopping Bobby Petrino in that offense, the way the linebackers were used to stop the Taylon Green, the quarterback in the running game, I'm giving Nick Martin an A++++. And I'm giving Kendall Daniels an A+++ for the last play, and probably a B overall, because I think he can be just an absolute difference maker on every single down.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that assessment. I think that it's hard to it's hard when you look at a defense that gave up over 600 something yards to give them an A, but at the same time, boy, our linebackers played hard and again came up with the stop when it was needed.
Several times they blitzed a couple. Not just the last play.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So, no, I think the overall defensive grade is probably going to be a lot lower, but linebackers is definitely a highlight, I'd say, from this last week. And Nick Martin, that guy, he's going to be playing on Sundays. He's just an incredible ball player.
He is incredible. Colin Oliver goes out. I think I would give Obi Ezigbo a helmet sticker and an A+. Overall, though, I think I've got to give the defensive line probably the lowest score of any unit on the team. A couple different times, defensive ends were getting kicked out and just didn't seem like they were squeezing down that cutback lane to the backside of plays. And because of that, it just made it really difficult on the second and third levels of Oklahoma State's defense to play. So I'm going to give the defensive line somewhere around like a D, maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
is that too harsh?
No, I think it's fair. I mean, you can't give up almost 700 yards of offense, and particularly with the way we were getting gashed. I mean, it wasn't. I can't remember what the statistic was, but how many plays and runs we gave up that were over 10 yards, over 15 yards. Just you can't have that. We've got to be better on run defense. Same thing, with the secondary, we had a number of what looked like busts to me, but no, just we got to get better on the D line. And again, it's not about, okay, you're not going to stop them for 0 yards. That's not realistic. But instead of them getting 10 to 15, if you could hold it to where they only get 4 or 5,
correct,
that makes a huge difference going forward. So that, to me, I think that's what I'm hoping to see against Tulsa. I mean, obviously the level of competition of talent level we're going up against isn't going to be the same against Tulsa, but that's what I'd like to see moving forward.
Yeah, man. I mean, it the thing is like, okay, I understand if you're struggling, but like they were running for like 25 yards and like not getting touched. And so it's hard to give much of a better grade than that whenever you just kind of, and it was multiple people. It was the quarterback and the running back, multiple running backs for Arkansas were having success. Okay, the secondary for Oklahoma State, Trey Rucker, again, he's just a punisher in the running game. People don't understand. They always say, hey, you don't want your safety to be your leading tackle. Well, in this defense, you do. Your safety is basically a seventh box player. Your safety is just another linebacker that's playing a little bit deeper, which is why the transition for Kendall Daniels has been as smooth as it has been to linebacker, because it's very similar. I thought Trey Rucker, again, was A+++ in the running game. I thought he was somewhere around a B, maybe a high C in the passing game. I thought Dylan Smith made a really nice third down knockdown to get Oklahoma State's defense off of the field and made a really nice play there. Lyric Rawls made a nice bat away in the end zone when Arkansas was trying to score in the first half. But overall, I think Taylon Green, he's not a detailed passer. He did have too much time to throw, but I don't think you can give the secondary overall much better than a C.
Yeah, I think I'd give the second. I think I'd give him probably a C to maybe a C+. Just because like I said, because Trey Rucker, Kendall Daniels, those guys had good games. I still think the biggest issue that I see with this team is just we've got to cut down on the bust.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it. I was watching. I would rather have not the best scheme called, but everybody executes to their responsibility.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that than you could have the perfect scheme called, but if you have a bust, man, it's all for naught. The other thing I look at is like I said, she's got some playmakers back there. But at the same time, I don't care how fast you are. If you're out of position, I don't care how fast and strong you are.
1,000%.
You've got to be in the right spot. So yeah, I think I give them a C+. They did make some nice plays down the stretch, but I do think that group can be better, and I think they will be better. I'm expecting to see some really good growth from this week to on the defensive side of the ball. I think Nardo's going to make some changes, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Coaching, I'm giving Mike Gundy as a head coach, keeping the whole thing under control, getting his coordinators settled down into schemes that actually were, and being analytical enough of them to say, hey, we got to fix this crap, man. This isn't working. Do something else, right? So There was a sense of urgency to Gundy, but then there also was his typical, no panic type mentality to himself. I thought Mike Gundy was an A++++ on Saturday, and if I felt like if he was anything less, Oklahoma State does not win that game.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. When you think about it, we went down, what was it, 21-7? I think at one point. It didn't look good, but we made the proper adjustments at halftime. We started shutting them down in the second half. And again, like I said, the head coach job, Mike Gundy has done a really good job, I feel like, of stepping into that CEO type of role.
I agree. Which is what we all wanted him to do.
Yes,
all of us.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I think Mike had a really good game on Saturday from a coaching standpoint. Obviously there's, and then I think he handled the Alan Bowman situation appropriately. I think that was.
I think he thought it was kind of funny on one vein, but then it was like, damn, dude, it almost cost us the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure behind the scenes it was addressed, but that's exactly how it needed to be. Bowman knows better. Gundy handled it appropriately, but no, and that's what you get when you get a 20-year head coach versus the new guy. Because that's one of the things I look at, and maybe this is my officiating coming out, but usually the guys that are ranting and raving all the time are not the smartest coaches.
Yeah.
There's a time Gundy kind of let the officials have it on the false start penalty. And frankly, he should have, because they missed it, in my opinion.
They got the timing play right, but they did miss the offsides. That should have been an offsides.
Yeah, that one they missed. But at the same time, I need in those type of games particularly, I need a coach that is going to be able to help right the ship. Everybody stay calm. Do your assignment, play the game, as opposed to a guy that's running around with his hair on fire, because at the end it really doesn't do any good.
It always cracks me up when you hear a coach is screaming at the top of their lungs and they're saying, "You guys got to calm down."
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
really. You.
Really. Yeah, you first.
Yeah. How about that? Okay, Coach Nardo. I thought that it was a very difficult game for him. Arkansas had a brand new quarterback, brand new receivers, new running backs. Bobby Petrino is fantastic, and he was new to Arkansas coming back this year. So you had no film of Bobby Petrino with the personnel that he had on this team. So you saw bootlegs. And I'm just telling you, Petrino was fantastic. Nardo was a lot better than Oklahoma State fans think he was on Saturday in terms of calling the right schemes to get his kids in the right spot. But bottom line is, he's the head of the defense that gave up almost, over 600 yards. You can't give him much more than a D, C minus. And I love Coach Nardo. I struggle to say that. I was trending a little bit higher. I'd give him a solid C. Good.
And the only reason why I would say that is second half coming out of halftime, there were adjustments that were made, and we had a much better second half than we did the first half.
Good point. Good point. I should admit, I think you talked me into that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can't go any higher than that, because we can't be giving up almost 700 yards of offense. That's
bottom line, right?
Yeah, that's just insane. But at the same time, it's funny, because I don't care if we give up 1,000 yards of offense. If we keep them off the scoreboard, it doesn't matter. That's what's funny to me. One of the things that I've always said with football is football's won inside the 20. The stuff that we do in between the 20s, it really doesn't matter. It's what's done inside the 20 that really matters. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, again, his defense came up with a stop when we really needed it.
Several.
Yeah. So, I'm sure he probably wouldn't give himself an A+ on Saturday either. So, but no, I'd give him a good solid C, but would like to see some good improvement moving forward.
That C comes from the perspective, and all these grades do. Hey, I expect him to be like the best coach on the field every game. And so we're starting with that grade, with that standard. And so then you kind of work from there. And then I'll say this about Coach Dunn. I really do like Coach Dunn. I think he takes a lot of unwarranted criticism from, of course, hey, it's like a baseball manager. Every single major league team wants none of them think that he knows how to use their bullpen, and he doesn't have a feel for they all say the same things about their managers. Yeah. The same thing with college football and NFL fans. They all say the same things about their offensive coordinator. Oh, he calls the same plays. I can tell what play's coming from the stands. It's just the same vanilla, this and that and this and that. Hey, Coach Dunn does a really good job of lining down in different formations, using motion, getting the defense to influence one way, going back the other, all those kind of things. I say all that to say the first drive was good. he was super, super sluggish in the first half to get things organized and fixed and to get the Oklahoma State offense into the right plays. Saturday, the first half after the first drive, to me, was very frustrating watching him calling plays.
Yeah, it was done. It was not his best day. I'd have to go back and look at tape to see exactly what Arkansas was trying to do to us from a schematic standpoint. I don't, but at the same time, it's just sometimes as an offensive play caller, you're just not quite pushing the right buttons. And one of the things that I think people also don't realize,
and the quarterback was a little bit inaccurate. That didn't help.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I think I'd give Coach Dunn probably a C to C minus, somewhere in that range. Yeah. Not his best day. But at the same time, we were able to get a few things going when it mattered.
Dialed us some great plays at the right time, kind of like Coach Nardo did, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the flea flicker call, I love that. We mentioned before about using the cowboy backs. I really like that. Okay, well, you know what? If like I said before, if this isn't working, let's find something that might.
The pitch to Gordon was great too in overtime. That was a great play.
And I think if there's. Yeah, exactly. So, no, to me, the thing I guess what I look at with an offensive coordinator is, okay, they call a play, it's not working. The only time I get frustrated with an offensive coordinator is when you see something that isn't working and you don't try something.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so all right, we're trying to run off tackle, it keeps getting stuff. Well, let's try the other side, or let's try screen, let's try something different. So I got to give him credit on that. But, yeah, like I said, we got to find a way to get Ollie Gordon the ball more. But at the same time, hey, if you can get the ball to Brendan Presley or Rashad Owens, I'm good with that too.
The three situations and plays that I think get completely overlooked. Oklahoma State stops Arkansas on the fourth down play halfway through the fourth quarter by like a yard, maybe, when Taylor Green was rushing. He could have easily gotten that. And then also I think the two that are really getting overlooked, two great plays by Alan Bowman. You got both of your 2-point conversions. And the first one you had to have to tie the game. The second one kind of put money in the bank for you to make it an 8-point lead, which put a lot of pressure on the Arkansas offense. So it's hard for me to be too critical of a quarterback and a offensive coordinator when they came up with 2-point conversions, made the right plays down the stretch, called the right plays down the stretch, and executed when the game mattered the most. Yeah,
I mean, the name of the game is win.
Yes.
I mean, that's, and I think that's the other thing. I guess when I look at the end of the day, we got a victory against an SEC team. Now, do I think Arkansas is at the top of the SEC? No, but at the same time, Arkansas has talent, and like you mentioned before, Bobby Petrino, that guy's he's as good as any out there in the business. So, no, at the end of the day, it's a win. I think overall, I mean, again. I don't care how you do it. You beat an SEC team, got your second win. You're still undefeated for the season. I'd probably give the whole game I'd probably give us a B.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd give us a passing grade on that. I mean, again, there's things we need to work on, but I was looking back to last year. I think it was our second game last year. We got hammered by South Alabama. I'll take this.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I'll take this result, no doubt.
Yeah.
And Tulsa, Tulsa, as you move on. Sorry, Coach.
Yeah, no, you're good. There was a lot of things we needed to work on last year too, and that was after a loss. So I'll take this. I'll take this any day of the week.
No doubt. Moving on to Tulsa, you got Kevin Wilson coming in, Steve Spurrier Jr., Brendan Presley against each other. This will be a very dangerous Tulsa team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're going to get Tulsa's best shot this week, no doubt. I would like to think that there's enough things that happened in the Arkansas game that were kind of for lack of a better term, a wake-up call. Things we need to fix, things we need to impress our coaches on if you're a player. I'd like to think that OSU should be able to win this thing handily. But again, in the world of college football, if we go in there and we take them lightly, if you turn the ball over, the game can change on a dime. So we better be ready to play. I think we will be ready to play. I hope I'm not eating my words next week, but I do think that OSU is going to have a good game plan, and I think we're going to hopefully go in there and have a good day.
All right, Scott, appreciate it. It's a great day to be a Poke, isn't it?
Oh, it's always a great day to be a Poke, but I don't know. Sometimes it's more enjoyable after a victory.
All right, great job.